Essentially. Kellen, look at Kellen's
Yeah.
positioning. He's just like, nope, I'm going to threaten, so it makes it look like, you know, there might be something happening over here, but it's really just the push in the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, Kellen's kind of smurfing today. You know, he lands that first hook. He gets the bottom lane ahead. His roam timings have been astoundingly good. And once again, he's able to pressure a lot down on the bottom side. Now, we are going to have this Rift Herald put up into the top lane as Rich will look to take an aggressive trade, but that might just mean his doom, as there is really nowhere for him to run. Just going to be taken down as Kroko takes that kill. And looks like the Rift Herald actually went down pretty fast there, but still, a kill and a couple of plates not going to be so bad for Live Sandbox. They really need to catch up right now as that bottom lane is getting shredded.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be almost a full plate for a full plate here. In fact, I just don't think there's any way they can stop Live Sandbox on the top here. Obviously, the gold funnel is arguably better since this is going straight to Duck Dom, whereas the top one is split. But it is going to be about the same amount of gold gained across the board. But still, Nongshem being faster on the draw with this, there was never a moment of hesitation. This is the kind of macro I'm talking about with Aphelios just being able to cut down turrets, where Nongshem just doesn't hesitate. They just see a Rift Herald take, and they immediately Drake and push this bot turret. So it's a better trade for them overall. In terms of the gold, obviously, it's fairly even. They actually don't even get that last bit of the turret in the top lane, so Rich is going to be happy with that. He's going to head back up and grab that wave, and Nongshem getting small advantages over time with this bot lane pressure.
Yeah, and it was pretty funny to watch the trade of the plates too, because Live Sandbox just getting bulwarked up there in the top side. Everybody stacking on that turret, not really able to do even more damage than the lone Aphelios down on the bottom side, who, you know, originally it was just the same amount of plates, but now he's also taking down the entire turret. So he got all the plates, plus the First Blood turret, plus the First Blood. I mean, look at him. He's 1,500 gold ahead of Root already, and he has a Gale Force. So, like, Duck Dom, you know, we were talking about in the match points how this bottom lane is looking really good right now. And so far, they have absolutely proved it, as they are just stacking the cash right now.
Look,
in this first game.
And he's just going to go straight to the top lane. The lane swap is here, and he wants more turret plates. This is every single Aphelios game for Duck Dom. We've not just seen it from Nongshem before, but you know, this is a common strategy, especially when you have the Thresh to go roam together. It's a lot safer with this really strong support they've got with him, and it gives him a lot more mobility. Mobile turret, as you called him earlier. So if you try to punish this, you can actually die for it, because a Lantern just gives you so much freedom. I really like how Nongshem plays this, and this is not the first time they've done this, you know, and it's just a well-practiced strategy, and when left open, Nongshem is going to play what they're comfortable with, and this just keeps happening.
Yeah, certainly, you know, if you get a strategy and it keeps working, don't change it. As Kellen has to be careful here. That's going to be a pretty late blade coming out there from the Leona, but he's dead. It looks like any...
He had the box set up, he had the flash into the brush, it was perfectly positioned. He knew that there was a pretty good chance that someone was in that brush. If you watch it again, he comes over here, baits out the undertow, and he's just going to go ahead and toss his box here. He does, of course, stopwatch away, and the damage output is so strong at this point. And even with the Ragnarok there, his hook does a little bit of extra damage, and they're able to burst down Kroko before he dies. Pretty impressive stuff here, and Nongshem just one step ahead with these rotations yet again.
Yeah, seems like they're just playing with some really nice confidence. Love the play there from Kellen. I feel like I'm already writing down my POG vote as we go here. Sometimes the games are decided very early on, and this game isn't over by any means, of course, but Kellen has certainly made some really big strides to get his team ahead. As, you know, as you mentioned, with the lane swap that comes in, with the, you know, priority you get from taking down the First Blood turret, they're just able to get up there as Effort kind of caught in no man's land here, but they're not going to chase over the wall. As level 10 Nidalee, pretty tanky, actually. A nice stun comes in. And take a look at this. I mean, the top lane turret for blue side still has its plate up, and they're going to take another one.
Yep, it's another plate. And if they had, like, even 10 more seconds, they would have actually gotten the last plate on that on those plates. And, you know, even with Rich in a fairly precarious position, he's able to escape. And then what's the call for Live Sandbox? Excuse me. What's the call for them? I mean, they just slowly rotate out. They just walked out of the lane and gave up a Drake for free, even though they had 3 in the bot side.
Yeah, and you take a look at the total golds here. The gold difference in the 80 carry role now is 2,000. So we're just we're getting a bit out of control. And you know, it's 1 assist, 1 kill, you know, maybe 7 CS, but the majority of that gold is just in turrets and plates. And Duckdom has just been, he's been tearing them down. He's destroying them one by one. And now looks like Liv Sandbox don't want to let this Rift Herald go for free, so they're going to try to group up here and deny this one successfully.
Yeah, not just going to let another objective go by the wayside. They are going to group up to contest this. Spay is unable to get that Scatter of the Weak to connect, but Duckdom is just like, okay, well, while you guys are being a little bit indecisive around the objective we're grouping on, I'll just take another turret, because I'm a Aphelios, so I can crush that, and not to mention, when you look at his items, 152 CS, and all that turret plate gold that he's gotten, it's just insane. And, like, Liv Sandbox deny the Herald, but they're unable to push in, make a pick happen, punish anything. And they're not so far behind in gold where it's just not fightable. Like, they have to be decisive here, look for a pick, look for an engage, and finally they are now.
Yeah, well, they've got Meganar, so they say, okay, let's charge in, see what we can get going. Meganar times out, and already, you know, the 1-item power spike is coming in here as... Okay, there's my stream back again. The Rift Herald is going to go down, as you may need to take over Wolf. My stream's having a little bit of...
Okay, alright, well, we're going to see Rich isolated here on the side. He's stunned up. He's going to continue to engage and does a bunch of damage there. Effort has to run away. Summit just barely able to escape over the wall. And nobody dying on the side of Liv Sandbox here. Bay is down, but everyone's so low health that this is still a 3v3 fight now around the Herald. And we'll smite that away as she's trying to grab it, but I think Croco is going to take it away. Nope, Lantern!
Yeah. Oh, what? Guys, come on! Alright, there he goes. So now they're going to go for a trade. See you later, Kellen. Just going to get blasted in the face there. I suppose that's the trade-off you have to make to get that Rift Herald. But from what I can garner, looks like Liv Sandbox took a pretty nice little fight there. And they're going to get some decent objectives here. They're going to get some damage done to this mid turret after that one.
Yeah, it was tons of damage done to Liv Sandbox, but they weren't able to secure those kills, so they end up obviously, you know, backing, and they've got more presence on the map for just a moment, which allows them to clean that up, grab that mid turret, which is really going to open things up for Fate. Is maybe you could, I mean, you'll get a second chance of this team fight now.
Yeah, looks like Rich just got pretty overextended there in the front, so they were able to chop him down, and Summit did a great job of baiting up on the top side, so Croco kind of hunting everybody down there, and yeah, after that, this is kind of where I picked up from.
Yeah.
Just little do-si-do here.
I mean, Rich,
that was unfortunate.
He did a ton of damage on his exit from this world, but unfortunately, just not able to live there, not able to finish off any targets. And finally, Liv Sandbox are able to, you know, take a trade in their favor, but it almost feels like it's too little, too late. Like it wasn't good enough. It wasn't dominant enough. As Rift Herald still goes to Peanut, obviously at a high price, but. And we'll see what they're able to accomplish with this. The mid turret still up here, and they're just going to toss it in to clear that up because Fate has the mid lane opened up, and it's very powerful for Zoe. So at least they're going to turn that around a little bit.
Looks like there was some, you know, fighting over the vision there, over the Drake that is coming in. Mountain Soul this time around. We don't have any tanky members on either side, and I don't believe we're going to see too many tanky items built. Maybe the Gnar would gain the most benefit from this Drake. I suppose Olaf a bit as well. He's got that cow built up. And it looks like we're actually going to fight over this Drake here. Liv Sandbox not scared to fight for this one. But this is what I was talking about. This 1-item power spike with the poke that they have.
Same.
Immediately Root just has 20% health.
Yeah, this. I mean, he's in such a precarious position. Like, even trying to go for bullet time is almost certain death. So, I mean, if Rich just shock blasts him, accelerates that, what's he going to do? I mean, it's just so risky to actually commit. As Duckdom is like, yeah, so, while you guys are being indecisive, another turret, by the way.
Yeah.
Just going to grab some
third turret of the game.
Yep.
Okay, Ragnarok coming out here a bit late, but again, they're just setting up a concave and saying, okay, I dare you to try to take the Mountain Drake. They're going to take a ton of damage from that mountain, and of course the poke that comes in. And another Drake is going to go the way of Nongshim, so they're one away from the Mountain Soul, and they are just powering up here in the mid-game. The Syndra beginning to look pretty insanely strong as well. It's a little bit disappointing that Rich has now fallen behind somehow. But you know, these things happen, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, he did die earlier in that fight, so wasn't able to get all of the waves that were up at that time. But I mean, he's not too significantly behind, I guess. And he still obviously has a lot of utility in the team fights. But Mountain Drake, as you mentioned, not incredibly useful on either team. Obviously can be quite good for Nora and Olaf, but it's not great for really anybody on the side of Nongshim. I guess, you know, I don't know how many stacks Kellen has, but he would like to have it.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of just a denial at this point for Nongshim, and they can kind of accelerate the pace of the game by fighting around it and looking for follow-up objectives, because the Sandbox just do not want to give that extra scaling over to Nongshim, even if it's not the best for the composition they're running. I mean, you can't lose literally every objective on the map, right? You have to fight for those. And if they can somehow turn this game around, if they get, you know, if they're able to get multiple Mountain Drakes themselves, which seems very unlikely at this point, then that can really start to stack up for them. But it's a long slope to climb.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Certainly right now they do not have much power in this game. Zoe loves priority, and while Fate is doing pretty well individually, I feel like he's not going to be getting too much help from his friends. We'll see, though, how this one does come down. I suppose the Olaf is pretty stacked, at least in terms of the kills, but he's also almost 60 CS behind Peanut right now as Krako, so not sure exactly who won that matchup when you look at it here in the mid-game, at least, as just a bit of posturing. I don't think either team is going to go for the Baron just yet, but Nongshim have a pretty massive Baron team. When you look at it, you've got Jace, Syndra, and Aphelios especially with Crescendum. They're going to be able to chunk down that objective pretty fast if they win pretty much any fight.
Yeah, if they have control of this, the clear time for Baron is actually insane. They also have, if they have vision control, so much poke that will really chunk the Sandbox down at a range, at range distance. Whereas again, Fate is going to have a big problem. We had this yesterday with Zoe, where you just don't have the opportunity to do real damage if you don't have that vision control around Drake, around Baron. And Nongshim have just had these faster rotations. They are controlling vision pretty well. At the moment, at least on red side, Liv Sandbox has that under their control. As Peanut is going to look over to see if there's anything in the pit. And there is. He's going to miss it just by a second, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying, of course. But, we mentioned how the Mountain Drake it's not going to do too much, especially just the one Mountain Drake, but the Mountain Soul with the shields, as well as, they've got some supportive defensive items here and there. You got the Zonias already on Peanut as well. They're going to be able to just, mitigate just that extra bit of damage, and they're already ahead, so as you were mentioning, just deny and also get ahead at the same time. Nongshim currently they've got a pretty nice iron grip on this game. As long as they don't do what Rich did in that last fight around the second Rift Herald, I think they should be fine. Just go ahead, try to posture, try to poke them down. Don't allow Krako and Summit to just hard engage on you with, they don't have that much peel in their lineup. They have the Scout of the Week and maybe a box coming out. Duckdom gets jumped on and stunned 100-0. There is still a chance for Liv Sandbox to potentially win a fight. It's just they got to start it on their terms.
Exactly, and that's why
they can do it.
That's why the Scuttle is so important, because even if they clear out the wards, you can't clear that Scuttle on Baron. So even though it looked like Liv Sandbox wanted to maybe try to make a play there, there's just no secrets around the Baron pit, at least for a few more moments here. So Nongshim get to take that fight on their terms, even at range, right? Even as a slow engage, as they creep in, they have so much poke. So Liv Sandbox is back away and posture around this Mountain Drake. 28 seconds on that to go, and I mean, this is the fight you have to take if you're Liv Sandbox. I don't think you really have other options. The top pressure is on the turret, and time is ticking down for Liv Sandbox very quickly on this map as to teamfight opportunities they can win. I mean, this is their last big opportunity to bring this game back. I mean, it's almost GG if you lose this one, almost certainly. I mean, there are ways to come back, but it would require a lot of mistakes on Nongshim's part.
Yep, this is the big one. They kind of just have to win this fight, otherwise they're going to be in trouble. Effort takes about 30% of his health already from the Mountain Drake, so not the best start. But here we go. We'll see how the poke comes in. You see that a Shock Blast on the Summit isn't going to do too much. They got to hit that squishy backline. They'd love to hit Fate and Root if possible, as aggro on the Drake goes back to the side of Nongshim. Gonna leash here just a bit. Hook gonna sail wide as Root Gale forces the stun that comes out. Okay, asleep here onto Peanut could be huge. There's that burst I was talking about, and that's gonna give control of the pit over to the side of Liv Sandbox, able to lock down that Mountain Drake. And more poke coming out here. Fate literally trying to single-handedly carry his team back into the game, as Effort now going to get that engaged down onto Bay. And they do chase them off the objective. So you see there almost 4,000 damage coming out from Fate as he just single-handedly pokes the enemy team away.
Yeah, he's out there by himself on the left side of the Dragon Pit, and there's just no one to deal with him. And the poke damage is insane. He's got his Horizon Focus finished now as well, which means that that damage gets even crazier. Nongshim still going to try to make this play around the Baron, though, because of the clear time we were talking about earlier. Vision control as well. Look at where the wards are. So Liv Sandbox, they see them coming. They decide to back away. But, you know, they were almost able to sneak that away, and they had full vision of the approach from Liv Sandbox, so it was never really a risky choice because they could have always just walked away because of that vision. But yeah, that was an insane turn of events for Fate on the left side of that team fight, and Liv Sandbox survived because of it in this game. There's still a chance. It's, again, a mountain to climb, but there's a route back into this game now. No pun intended for Liv Sandbox. We're gonna watch this this fight for Fate. Look at where he is on the side of the fight. He gets the big sleep off onto Peanut. Peanut's insanely low, and Rich, he's not a top laner who could really hard engage on him over this wall. Like, there's not much he could do, so he has to back away and almost gets taken out here. He's slapped, of course, and then eventually pushed back over the wall. But Fate just did so much damage there off of 2 big shots. And that's all you need when you've got that Horizon Focus finished on Zoe. If you're free to do so, if you're free to take the shots, I mean, you're not going to miss, not at this level.
Yeah. Z Omega Lul E comes back into the game. And, yeah, I mean, this is what I was talking about. Fate is just getting so much more work done in these team fights. And I was actually taking a look at Duckdown in that fight. He was barely able to get any damage. I mean, there's just so much gold stacked onto this 80 carry player, and if he doesn't have a front line and they are not fighting front to back and his team is just kind of getting poked out, he's also going to miss some opportunity to do some DPS, kind of in the way we were talking about with the Zoe earlier on.
Felt like the role of the MF and Leona bot lane was to kind of pressure and win the lane, but they lost that, and now his functionality in team fights, I mean, it's very low, right? And I mean, even with the amount of range that Nongshim has, bullet time isn't that useful. They're, again, vision control of this Drake, and they're just trying to rush it down with the clear time they have, and they're probably going to get it.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get this one here. Smited down by Peanut, and all of a sudden, Root gets caught out. This is messy for the side of Liv Sandbox. Over the wall comes Rich. That's going to be another one of them poked out from the get-go here. So now 5-on-3 with Baron buff. And Nongshim, you know, they were struggling a little bit after losing that last team fight. They want to make a big movement here and try to close this game out. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to end it, but they want to get a insurmountable lead, perhaps.
Kellen's just added more of these to his turret collection this game. He grabs another one on his way to this inhibitor. Isn't able to get the inhibitor turrets. Kellen's going deep!
Kellen trying to add some more Pog votes if he didn't already have enough. Although, did they just overextend here? Nice flight once again coming in. Effort desperately trying to get in there and do it, but not able to do too much. They're at least able to get the 1 kill as the stun comes out and pushes Summit away. As you can see, he's desperately trying to hop here and throw a boomerang onto Kellen, but he's way too fast now as he will get away. So the Baron still on the majority of the members here of Nongshim, and they get this inhibitor at 30 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I'm going to grab this Scuttle, set up for Drake vision control, which is, again, so important. Well, I say that, it's actually stolen away. Or is it? Yeah, it's stolen away. I was pretty sure Croco actually nailed that. That's actually huge, because, again, that last fight, as we're going to take a look at this Baron rushdown, and box placement's really nice here. Just not much you could do, unfortunately. It feels like the walls were closing in on Live Sandbox. They saw Baron disappear before their eyes, and then they just decided to kind of go for it because they didn't want to give up another objective. This is insane.
I mean, he was reading that from the back. Like he knew the portal jump was coming in. You have to pre-fire that death sentence essentially to make sure that that one does land. And at the end of the day, you could see that Summit flashes forward for that kill. And there were no objectives after that, you know?
Yeah.
And now he doesn't have his flash for the way more important fight here over this Mountain Drake that's about to spawn.
At least they got the Scuttle, so you can see a little bit more control from Fate again because he has long-range vision to do that damage to proc Horizon Focus. But still, I mean, look at the way the team is cut in half right now. Effort is struggling to do anything. All the orbs are just on top of him.
Yeah, that's a pretty little cooldown at this point. We'll see if he can get it back later on in the fight. That's going to be the kill going to actually Duck Dom on the side of Nongshim here, as I don't know what that solar flare was. Now Effort is just going to have to flash away. Ingo's Krako is able to get a huge Gore Drinker stack there, but even the bullet time not really able to do much. Summit coming in here, and everybody on the side of Live Sandbox just filtering in one by one. This is not what you want to see if you are a Live Sandbox fan, as the rest of the members super low, and it looks like Nongshim might just look for the ends now.
Yeah, it looks like this is just going to be a good old GG at the end of this game. No light at the end of the tunnel anymore for Live Sandbox. Even after that one incredible fight from Fate, there is just simply no way out. Too indecisive. Nongshim again out-rotating, out-macroing with this Aphelios pick, getting tons of turret plates early. Very impressive macro game once again.
Absolutely. GG comes through as Nongshim do take a big... Oh, my cat just jumped on my desk and knocked my mic away. But that's a big win for Nongshim. They come in here, they kind of prove that they are the winners here. The better team. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted as my cat is... She is going nuts. The tail's in front of the camera. It's getting a little bit intense over here. But again, big win to the side of Nongshim.
Yeah, I mean, a dominant win. And there was besides a few overextensions from Rich and team fights. Although I mean, you could argue in some of those overextensions the damage was done, and like the function of the Jace in the team fight was maximized. His damage was maximized. Maybe could have done it a little bit slower and maybe a little bit safer, but that's Rich for you, since Heroes of the Storm. But a lot of indecision around some of these objectives when, unfortunately for Live Sandbox, they just weren't able to rotate quickly enough, or they didn't have vision control of the Baron or the Drake. And when you're running a comp that really is so reliant on the Zoe, you're going to have a bad time if you can't control that vision, if you can't find those angles. And, I mean, you mentioned it, you pointed it out, and I wasn't even really lasering in on it, but just how little damage MF was able to do in that game, unfortunately, in those team fights, because it wasn't front to back. That's just not how the comps worked.
Yeah, just not really able to amount to too much there. That was a pretty decisive game to the side of Nongshim, I have to say. Not really... You know, there wasn't really too much that bothered me about that. There was that one team fight where Fate kind of just smurfed on them, but other than that, it was a really solid, straightforward win to the side of Nongshim. I feel like they played really well to their win conditions there. Their mid-game, they exploded. We talked about the Baron. That came in as well. They're just like, they're reading the script here, and they're playing it out really well, so definitely a good first showing to Nongshim.
Yeah, I mean, the Aphelios pick, I think, is one that is rising, obviously, in popularity in LCK. The pairing with the Thresh, it just feels perfect for this team right now, especially for Duck Dom. And the way this team lane swaps and goes for those macro plays and turret plate control is... I mean, we're just seeing it so often that it makes you wonder, maybe some bans we warranted towards that, especially when we talk about blue side Aphelios.
Yeah. Aphelios, certainly pretty interesting, as we are going to take a look here at the post-game analysis, kind of see how it all went down here, and it was a pretty, you know, steady linear graph there on the gold difference. There was that big fight towards the end, and yeah, once again, just a pretty straightforward one there. The most damage actually going to the Jace, as those accelerated shock blasts were consistently doing some really good stuff.
Yeah, the shock blasts were big. He was able to jump into those team fights even in melee and do a ton of burst damage as well. Way out damaging the Gnar across the board. And you could see also a 4.5k damage lead in terms of the 80s. Duck Dom doing way more in that fight. In those fights.
Yeah, so, yeah, pretty interesting stuff there, as it does look like we are going to take a little bit of a break, but when we do come back, guys, game number 2 is coming straight to you once again.
앞으로 나가줘. 스레치나 앞으로.
야 앞에 나와가지고
그냥
할게. 내가
안 빼도 돼. 안 빼도 돼.
쌈에 올라프 두경 그래
봐봐. 레오나
아래
앞쪽에 섞고 땅하는
스포
니다
오픈 이제 가자
가자.
스포 오픈이야 나 죽냐 이거? 아니 네 올릴 때는 뭐 못해 몇 초? 6초
잡으러 가자. 야, 나 살짝 빠져줄 거. 오케이. 재밌긴 한데.
아 근데
But Teemo's AWOL. You need a recon. I'll help you find him.
I know where he is. The Bilgewater pages are missing from his scout journal.
Yeah,
Besides,
well.
weren't there enemy bogeys spotted over Piltover?
Bogies. Bogies? Why didn't you say so?
I'll help you save Teemo. Lieutenant Lulu, this rock is the most important part of the mission. You've got this. Bye.
I always have to guard the rock. I can do a lot of things. I'll fix that.
Teemo? Teemo, sound off. Whoa, a double cannon. Oh.
Not a single bogey. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. She thinks I'm washed up. Well, not this, my boy.
This rock never does anything. Ugh.
And How could I... What? No Tristana?
Nope.
Mission's gone south. Want to go cause a ruckus?
I thought I struck gold when I got one yordle. Now look what we got.
You got. Don't care how much those yordles are worth on the bounty board. They're a ticking time bomb of trouble.
Quit your whining. That cage is runic iron.
Oh, Corky.
Prepare to face Randall City's most decorated lioness!
That makes 3. I'm rich.
What was your plan?
Oh, I'm just a distraction.
What?
As I said, tick, tick, tick.
Oh.
Donald, I've been watching this rock all day, and it doesn't do anything. I'm starting to think that maybe... Don't touch your Rock!
Son of a...
Timo!
Is that all the mustard you got? Right now, get off me!
Drop your weapon, you little...
What's a Vandal Gunner without her support?
But I tell you, don't mess with yordles.
Whew, thanks. I thought I was a gunner. Not with friends like these furballs. What were you here for anyway?
Vandal Scout mission badge number 389. Adopt a pet. Cute, huh? It's a school devouring seabird! Timo, wait!
Timo, wait!
Welcome back everybody to the 2021 LCK Spring Split Analyst Stats. Today we'll be joined by Subin, and also we have a new crew joining the LCK, and Gorilla is making his debut. Nervous right now. They were kind of forcing the opponents to lock in Olaf. Leaf Sandbox did manage to pick up the high priority picks. However, they were kind of following the plan on the side of Nongshim. And Nongshim was really feeling comfortable giving away those picks to the hand of Leaf Sandbox. For example, Nar.
저도 좀 의문인 게 이제 나르가 얼마나 이제 연습 과정에서
I have a bit of a doubt about Nar because he has not won a single game here in the LCK so far, but still, teams are trying to try this on the Rift for competitive games. Leona Nar actually got countered by the opponents, so I think it was a very comfortable game for Nongshim. Live Sandbox, they were too kind of focused on some picks like Renekton, so they were not aware of the fact that actually Jace can come in and become a huge counter for Nar. And Aphelios and Syndra, those are the traditional carry players that can perform and put a lot of damage in the backline as well. So we can say Nongshim had a very well balanced comp overall. So let's take a look at this highlight where Leave Sandbox was looking for a pick on Thresh, but Nongshim bite back really well. They were trying to engage on Thresh, but Kellen was well aware of the situation, so he moved, sidestepped a little bit, and he was able to dodge the skill from Leona. And well, the ideal play for Live Sandbox was actually they could just engage if they landed the undertow, or if it had not, well, they could just back. But they were over eager, looking for some picks and points in that fight. Leona's skill went wide. Every single skill, including her flash, was wasted in this fight. Nongshim Red Force was definitely having a better performance in this game. And let's take a look at the sneaky Baron try from Nongshim Red Force that closed out the game in the end. They can burst Baron really fast, and Sandbox was not really aware of this. And with the attack speed buff from the healing of Nidalee, they could just two players could burst down this Baron. Well, Leave Sandbox managed to stop their Dragon Soul in the earlier Drake fight. However, they were not able to stop them from killing this Baron. This kind of Baron try was based on the vision priority and also the lane priority that Nongshim had. Nongshim Red Force were flexing on the opponents with their experience and also mechanics in this game. On the other hand, it looked like Live Sandbox was not on the same page. Now it's time to see who the POG is, and it's gonna be Tokdam. A lot of people actually worried about this blue side of Aphelios, and also if you give it over to Tokdam, who has been popping up recently on the solo queue and also during the Caspa Cup, I don't think it was the best choice to actually just let it pass through the pick and ban. And that solo kill was mainly because they got traded so bad in the earlier phase. And because of the Aphelios